Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin. I am a registered dietitian with Kelly's Choice. I am going to share my screen with you. Today, we are going to talk about how to build a better plate with more fiber or weight loss and how fiber makes you healthy. Um, so let's go ahead and get started. As many of you know from attending past seminars, you're familiar with Kelly's Choice, and the mission of our company, real people promoting real food. So each webinar and session, we start out with some fast facts, and this PowerPoint in particular, and this topic in particular, has quite a few fast facts as we go through the first few slides. So that's always fun. So the father of medicine, Hippocrates, as you know, was one of the first physicians to argue for the benefits of fiber to help keep the large intestine healthy. So some of you may know you have a small intestine and a large intestine. The small intestine comes right after your stomach, and then that goes into the large intestine, and then the large intestine meets the colon. So stomach, small intestine, where you absorb a lot of nutrients, large intestine, where you reabsorb water and waste becomes built, I guess, and moves into the colon to exit the body. Fiber is considered a probiotic and also sometimes a prebiotic. So we'll talk a little bit about that in the next few slides, but it's a really good way to boost the friendly bacteria in your gut. So that's a pretty hot topic the last 10 years or so, I would say, the importance of fiber for gut bacteria. And maybe you've heard gut microbiome. That just means the bacteria environment within the gut. The National Cancer Institute actually has concluded that for every 10-gram increase in your daily fiber intake, the risk of death drops 15% in women and 10% in men. 10 grams is really not that much. If you take a look at the back of maybe your whole grain pasta or a whole grain cereal or oatmeal or some bread, you'll probably notice that there's about 5 grams of fiber or more in one of your whole grain food items per serving. So just a 10-gram increase, that could be just 2 servings of a whole grain food, 2 more servings of whole grain food in your day, or fruits or vegetables. And we'll talk about the difference between the different types of fiber in both. So what is fiber? It's a plant-based nutrient that comes from the walls of fruits and vegetables and grains and nuts. So we'll get a little bit more into this as well. But if you're thinking about the walls or the skin, so to speak, of fruits and vegetables, that's where the fiber is. Now, if you think about whole grains, you have a grain product that actually has a wall or a shell or skin, or however you want to think about it, that gets removed when we're making refined carbohydrates like white bread or sugars or things like that. So that get turned into sugar. So if you think about it that way, that's why we want you to eat the whole fruit, or we want you to eat the whole grain, because the fiber is in the outside shell or skin, or whatever you want to think about it. There are no calories in fiber. So it's technically a carbohydrate, but you can't absorb the calories from it. So sometimes you may see when you're reading a food label, particularly back when Atkins diet was popular, a lot of food companies for marketing purposes adopted the practice of taking the fiber calories and or grams, I guess, of carbohydrates and subtracting that from the total gram of carbohydrates. So let's say there were 15 grams of carbohydrates in a product, then you would see on the food label, but there's only 10 net carbs because we subtracted the 5 grams of carbohydrates that were fiber from the total 15, right? So there are 5 grams of fiber, 15 total grams of carbohydrates. We're gonna subtract the 5 grams from the total, and we're left with 10 grams of net carbs. So you may see that still today. Net carb, that's what that means. They're just subtracting the grams of fiber from the total carbohydrate intake or total. So fiber is also the rough or the tough to chew part of many fruits or vegetables. So again, it's the skin. So Keeping the skin on your apples and eating them is important to get all the fiber in. That's why you have a picture here of an apple. So why study fiber? Again, fiber in the last 10 years has become really important and a hot topic when we're talking about the gut microbiome and the health of your gut. So fiber promotes a sense of satiety and fullness. It's one of the most important nutrients in weight loss. It keeps you fuller longer, just like protein, but it has way fewer calories and it has fiber in it. So it helps you go to the bathroom, helps eliminate waste, you're not holding on to as much water because you're eliminating it through waste. So very, very, very important in weight loss. Your gut bacteria can create an anti-obesity compound from consuming dietary fiber. So what that means is they have found that more fiber leads to better gut microbiome, more good bacteria in your gut. People who are obese tend to not have the same gut microbiome makeup as people who are not obese. So if you tie that all together, if you're eating enough fiber, you're going to promote better gut health and a better gut microbiome environment. And then that can lead to weight loss and people who are not obese. So fiber deficiencies have been implicated in many of America's most debilitating and chronic conditions. So IBS, I'm sure if you don't suffer from IBS, you know somebody who suffers from IBS, heart disease, diabetes, just to name a few. And nearly 90% of Americans are actually not eating enough fiber. So it's pretty surprising. And we'll get into the numbers of what you should how many grams of fiber you should be trying to get each day. So why are so many of us not getting enough fiber? Well, basically because most of our food products are refined carbohydrates. We eat a lot of snacks. We've removed the bran from our grain products, and we've created white flour. And that has kind of been the American standard for such a long time. Then we've taken that white bread or whatever it may be, and we've incorporated more vitamins and minerals in it to combat other deficiencies, and we've left fiber out. So you'll see here, historians note that the emergence of a common disease occurred in the US and in England after 1890, after a new milling technique removed the fiber and whole grain flour to produce white flour. So additionally, today, only 9% of Americans reach their fruit and vegetable intake requirements, which is the primary source of fiber in our diets. There's two types of fiber, okay? There's soluble fiber and there's insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber, if you think about it, it brings water in, okay? Insoluble fiber is not soluble. So I like to think of it, if you're looking at this screen, insoluble fiber attaches to the waste in the body. It can make your waste bulkier and easier to pass. That helps you prevent hemorrhoids, heart disease, constipation, and cancer, and it removes the toxic waste from the body. So it's pulling stuff out of your body. Now, on the other side, you have soluble fiber, which will slow down the absorption of sugar and fat in the blood, helps regulate your blood sugar level, and it binds to cholesterol in your bloodstream to help lower your LDL, which is considered your bad cholesterol. So if you think about it this way, insoluble fiber could be in fruits and vegetables, and think about that as like roughage. So it's going to help pass things through your body, chop some stuff up, eliminate toxic waste, make things easier to get out. Soluble fiber, on the other hand, is what will attach itself to things like the LDL and bring that out of your body as well. So both types of fiber will remove toxic waste from your body. Of course, that's what's in waste in general. There's just two different types, and let's get into a little more detail in the next couple of slides. So for men, the optimal amount of fiber per day is 38 grams, and for women, it's about 32. The average American only gets 15. Now, if we think about that again, we were talking about whole grain bread. If you look at the back of your whole grain bread ingredients, or I'm sorry, your nutrition label, you'll see that there's about 5 grams of fiber per slice, per serving. So if you eat 2 pieces of toast, or let's say a piece of toast for breakfast and a whole grain sandwich at lunch, that's 15 grams of fiber. and we need twice that. So you do need to incorporate some more fruits and vegetables in, and probably 2 or so more servings of carbohydrates. I don't have it on this presentation here, but if you go search for the American Heart Association's recommendations on kind of like how many servings of each food group to have, you'll see that for about a 1,600 calorie to 1,800 calorie diet, you want to be getting in about 5 to 6 servings of whole grains a day. So again, if you're only getting 15 grams of fiber, that means you're probably not eating any fruit, maybe one piece of fruit, and having maybe a couple pieces of whole grain bread or something like that throughout the day. So it could be whole grain pasta, it could be rice, I don't know. But what I mean is just 3 servings of something, when in reality, you want to have 5 to 6. So fiber deficiencies can result in increased cholesterol, because again, we just talked about how fiber binds to cholesterol in the blood and pulls it out in your feces. It can lead to irregular digestion, like constipation, increased weight, because again, fiber fills you up and keeps you fuller longer. Additionally, fiber improves the gut microbiome, which helps in weight loss. So if you have a healthy gut microbiome, you're absorbing more nutrients, you're going to the bathroom more regularly, and that helps with weight loss or weight maintenance or avoiding obesity. So fiber also helps with type 2 diabetes, because as you know, with type 2 diabetes, as your blood sugar increases, it's more difficult. Well, it's more difficult for people with type 2 diabetes to recognize insulin and bring sugar into the cells that they need. So the fiber helps slow down the digestion so that you don't get so much blood glucose into your blood, or sugar into your blood at once, and have this overwhelming high blood sugar number. Instead, the fiber is slowing down that digestion, slowing down the rate at which the sugar or carbohydrate goes into the bloodstream, and it gives your body some time to get the sugar into your cells via insulin. Via insulin. So that's how it aids in type 2 diabetes. With colon cancer, again, it helps you go to the bathroom more regularly. So you don't have this toxic waste hanging out in your colon for extended periods of time. You're going more regularly. Additionally, if you kind of have a lot of diarrhea sometimes, and then a lot of constipation sometimes, that can also lead to colon cancer, a lot of inflammation in the colon, and so on and so forth. So consistent water and fiber intake can help you avoid developing colon cancer. And then again, with cardiovascular disease, that's tied back to the cholesterol. So high cholesterol can lead to cardiovascular disease. So if you're eating more fiber and you're pulling the cholesterol out of your blood, you're less likely to develop cardiovascular disease. So why didn't they teach us this in school? I don't know. That's a good question. 53% of people considered steak to be a good source of fiber. 1 in 4 people believe that whole grains are not a good source of fiber, which obviously is false. And then 42% of people believe that potato chips do contain a significant amount of fiber, which they do not. These make me laugh because they make me think of when you watch those comedy shows and they go around polling people on random stuff. So I think most of you probably know that steak is not a good source of fiber. But if you pair your steak with broccoli is a good source of fiber. So you can still enjoy your steak, just try to have some whole grains with it, or some fiber, with it. So some fiberlicious foods. Foods that are especially high in fiber include whole grains. When you're looking at the ingredients on the back of on the food label, you want it to say 100% whole grain. So in the US, marketing companies can get away with quite a bit. So on the front, they could say something like whole grain tortillas or something, but you turn it around and you look at the ingredients list and the nutrition facts label, and with the first word on the ingredients list needs to say whole whatever. It could be whole wheat, whole oat, whole barley, I don't know, whole anything. Then you know that it actually is made with whole grains. If it doesn't say whole, it could be a different type. It could be a whole grain that's not 100% whole. So it could be refined to a certain extent. Or you may find that the first ingredient, second ingredient, third ingredient isn't grains at all. It's like sugar and guar gum and whatever. And then wheat is the third ingredient. But on the front of the package, they're saying this is a wheat product. But you look on the back, and while it has wheat in it, so they can say that it's not the first ingredient, and it doesn't say 100% whole. So that's what you're looking for. Chia seeds and flax seeds have quite a bit of fiber, and they also have a lot of omega-3 fatty acids. So that's really good too for your digestive health and your heart health. If you can find ground flax seeds, those tend to have a bit more omega-3s available to you when you eat them, because the hard shell has been sort of pulverized, I guess, or refined for you. On the other hand, it has less fiber. So it kind of depends on what you're going for. You'll see ground flaxseed or whole. If you get whole flaxseed and whole chia seed, you're going to get more fiber out of it. But if it's ground, you're going to get more of the omega-3 fatty acids out of it. Dark green leafy vegetables have quite a bit of fiber. So spinach and kale and collard greens have quite a bit of fiber. Beans, any kind of bean. It could be a canned bean. It could be a dried bean. However you want to make your beans. There's tons and tons of fiber in beans. You know the song, I'm sure. Cauliflower has quite a bit of fiber in it. Asparagus has quite a bit of fiber in it, if you can get past the smell of urine after eating it. Truthfully, any whole fruit and any whole vegetable has quite a bit of fiber in it for you. So fiber phonies, as with all nutrients, the best way to get fiber is from a whole food. So, there's Metamucil and other fiber products that are great. And I certainly promote those for people who have high cholesterol, who are already eating a diet that's really high in fiber. But the best way to get fiber is really through the food. So that goes for every nutrient. Your body is made up of the same elements, basically, that food is made up of, right? We're all naturally occurring. So when you eat them, when you eat a real whole food, the bioavailability is so much greater than when you're getting it from a manufactured product like a powder or a supplement. So that goes for both fiber, it goes for nutrients and everything. You're just going to get a lot more out of the food that you eat. Additionally, when you chew food, you secrete amylase, and that's like a digestive enzyme that helps you break things down and absorb them in your small intestine. So another reason why chewing real whole food is a much better way to get all of the fiber out of something. So fiber is essential for many, many things, mainly digestion. It helps with enhancing your bowel function, again, having more regular, easy to pass bowel movements, preventing and treating constipation, hemorrhoids, and IBS, like we've discussed already. And it's important to eat both soluble and insoluble fiber because they do different things. They're both really, really important. There's no indication of like, you should have this many grams of insoluble fiber and this many grams of soluble fiber. Overall, again, 39 for men, 35 for women. But if you can consume both whole, 100% whole grains, whether it's oats, barley, wheat, amaranth, anything, whatever grain, and your fruits and vegetables for the day, you're doing great. Again, if you just go Google search for the American Heart Association's recommendation on number of carbohydrate servings for the day, fruit servings for the day, vegetable servings for the day, you'll see how many you want to aim for to get the 35 or the 39 grams. So fiber and digestion continued. According to a new survey, 74% of Americans are living with digestive symptoms like gas, bloating, diarrhea, abdominal pain. You've probably heard that already on the TV when they're promoting supplements and things like that to help with GI distress. It's certainly a common thing. Stress contributes to it, lack of sleep, not eating enough fiber, not getting enough movement, not drinking enough water. Beneficial gut bacteria actually can make vitamins. So there are essential and non-essential vitamins and minerals, and non-essential means that your body makes them or can make them. So you can eat them, but you can also make them. And they're actually made in your gut, and fiber helps your body produce them. So vitamins like B12, vitamin K, B6, B3, B5, folate, biotin, fiber is going to help you produce those. It also helps to enhance absorption of minerals, fight off pathogens, digest food, and metabolize drugs. So basically, your gut microbiome bacteria are the first responders in your immune system. And so your bacteria actually alert your immune system and to begin making white blood cells, which is to fight off any foreign invaders and then create inflammation and the whole immune process. So the bacteria in your gut are so important and they work so closely with your immune system. It's really, really important to make an effort to maintain a healthy gut bacteria and help fight off pathogens and so on. And then again, the consumption of fiber helps produce good, healthy gut bacteria. So speaking of good, healthy gut bacteria, you have prebiotics and you have probiotics. So prebiotics are the food that the probiotic eats. A probiotic is bacteria. A prebiotic is not necessarily bacteria. It's usually fiber, and certain fruits and vegetables have more prebiotics than others, and we'll get to that in the next slide. The probiotic is the gut bacteria. So let's say you take a probiotic pill. Again, you're better off getting your probiotics from food that you eat, but if you do take a probiotic pill, that's great. When you eat that probiotic pill and it goes into your intestines, it's relying on you to eat prebiotic foods in order to nourish the good bacteria. And then the good bacteria in your gut grows and grows and grows. It duplicates itself from eating the prebiotic food. And eventually the bad gut bacteria basically get starved off or killed off because the good bacteria are eating the food that they like. And basically they outnumber the bad bacteria, and the bad bacteria starve off. So these are foods, probiotics are foods that have kind of been pre-digested by the fermentation process. So making them, so that makes them easier to absorb. Let's talk about where you can find that. So again, probiotic is the, excuse me. Excuse me there, I'm sorry. All right, I never know how to make my computer not do that. So again, the probiotic is the bacteria that goes into your system. But if you're not feeding that probiotic, if you're not feeding that bacteria with the prebiotic, then it's not going to survive. So there's really no sense in taking it. So taking probiotic pills is great, but only if you're eating a diet that's going to support the probiotic. Otherwise, you're just wasting money because it's not going to live in your gut. So here are some good probiotic foods that you can start eating. Kefir, sauerkraut, coconut kefir, natto, yogurt, like Greek yogurt. The more tart the taste of the Greek yogurt, the more, the higher it is in probiotics. Kombucha, kvass, kimchi, miso, tempeh, pickles, anything that's been fermented really is good for the gut bacteria. Now, prebiotics to help feed the probiotic. We've got asparagus, bananas. These are really particular. Asparagus, bananas, garlic, onions, cabbage, beans, legumes, bran. If you go down this list, those, while I want to say all fiber is really good for your gut because it is, these are the ones that contain the prebiotic that's going to feed the good bacteria. So these are ones that would be worth really making an effort to include in your diet. Another thing to mention is that certain bacteria, so if you take a probiotic and you look at the back of it, you'll see there's billions or whatever cultures, yada, yada. Each one of those different cultures prefers a different prebiotic food. So if you're only eating asparagus from this list, you don't eat anything else, you're going to have an overgrowth of a good bacteria, but you're not going to feed other cultures of that bacteria. So you really want to make sure that you're getting kind of all of these throughout the week. It doesn't have to be daily, or it really could just be throughout the month, as long as you're eating enough fruits, vegetables, and whole grains in general, and then try to add some of these in throughout the month. That will help your good bacteria. So when you're adding fiber into your diet, make sure that you're doing it slowly and you're increasing your water intake while you do that, because two things. Of course, if you just like eat a ton of fiber, you could be in the bathroom often. The other thing is if you increase your soluble fiber and you're not drinking enough water, you can become constipated. So you want to make sure you're drinking enough water so that the fiber that you are eating absorbs that water and can be eliminated. If it doesn't absorb the water, it will actually lead to constipation. Steaming vegetables actually retains more fiber than roasting them or like pan frying them. So if you can steam them just for a few minutes, and the reason is they're just not in contact with such high heat for an extended period of time. So you're just not damaging the cell wall as much when you steam them as you would if you grill them at a high temperature or you roast them in the oven or you put them on the frying pan. The skin and the fruit on vegetables contain the most fiber, like we said. And again, you want to choose the 100% whole grain, 100% whole wheat. You want it to say 100%. Fruit juices do not provide the same fiber value as a whole fruit. And that's the same with smoothies. So a lot of people, of course, smoothies are tasty. They seem like a really efficient way to get in fruits and vegetables, particularly if you're driving to work or something like that. But you're pre-pulverizing, you're pre-digesting most of the fiber in the fruit and the vegetable and whatever else you're putting in there. So you're really not getting the same amount of fiber when you drink it, but you are still getting the same number of calories. So if you think about it, would you put a banana and an apple and a pineapple, whatever, down on a plate and eat all of it? No, you'd be too full, but you'd be better off doing that because you'd fill up on fewer calories and you'd get the fiber out of it. So if you think about it that way, if you're going to make a fruit smoothie or a smoothie in general, try to have 1 cup of fruit or less in that smoothie. And then try not to add too many other high calorie items, because again, it just doesn't keep you as full for as long and you don't get the fiber. And the protein is also sort of like pre-digested for you. So your stomach doesn't have to work on much. It just kind of absorbs the liquid. Adults should have 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. Some adults may have 2 or 3 bowel movements a day. Some people can go every other day. If you're not having 2 or 3 bowel movements a day, I absolutely would not worry. The majority of people go 1 time a day. So just keep that in mind. Whatever, everybody's system is different. So whatever's normal for you is probably fine. I would say if you're going 2 or 3 days without having a bowel movement, you definitely want to be increasing your fiber intake. Water in your digestive system, again, helps to dissolve the fats and the soluble fiber. So it allows the substances to go through your colon more easily. Your healthy gut bacteria need water to thrive and move around, which is true. I mean, your whole body needs water to thrive and continue to pass nutrients from one cell to the other. So staying hydrated is so important. And then, you can think about it as killing 2 birds with 1 stone. If you do decide to drink something like kombucha, not only are you hydrating, but there's probiotics. So you kind of get a 2 for 1 there. And then if you want to, if you get like kind of bored with your water, adding lemon or cucumber slices can be a bit refreshing. What I have found is if I have an ice water and I use a straw to drink it, I drink at least twice as much water as I would if I'm just drinking like not lukewarm, but like room temperature water out of the tap. Ice water with a straw seems to be a bit more refreshing and just for some reason easier to drink. So that could be one way for you to increase your fluid intake. And then the other thing to remember is try not to choose beverages that are high in calories, like fruit juices and sodas. Even some of the sports drinks like Gatorade or Propel is okay, I think. I don't know, there's so many on the market these days, but those do have quite a bit of sugar in them and calories. So just something to consider. Water is always the better option. As always, if you have any questions, we would love to hear from you. So please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me at Caitlin, Caitlin, at kellyschoice.org with any questions that you have about today's webinar. And we really appreciate you being here. All right, we'll see you next time. Thank you.